Welcome to Private Club Radio, your weekly source for industry education, news and discussion. Broadcasting from Tampa, Florida, ladies and gentlemen, here is your host, Gabriel Aloisi.
Welcome back to Private Club Radio. Happy to have you here once again on this beautiful Monday morning. Now, you might be thinking, how does Gabe know it's beautiful? Well, every day we have is beautiful, and that's not just some wisdom off a Chinese fortune, that's the truth. It's kind of a cloudy day here in Tampa, in fact, but I am up and ready to rock and roll, and I'm so happy that you're here to join me, because we've got two really good guests on today. First, we'll be chatting with Gary Collins from Master Club Advisors, and Gary has a ton of advice to share today about how to increase your dues revenue at your club. We're also going to touch on gated communities and the question of mandatory memberships. Is that right for most gated communities? And Gary's got an answer to that, which you will hear when he is on in just a bit. And later on the show, we'll be chatting with Adam Heieck of Youth on Course, which is a nonprofit children's charity. And the mission of that organization is to get youth to be able to have access to golf courses for $5 or less, greens fees of $5 or less. I think it's a fantastic idea that's really meant to grow the game. And it's not just for public courses. Private clubs can participate in this. And so I thought it'd be fun to have Adam on to share what his organization has been doing now for over a decade. This is the first I'm hearing of it. And I imagine there's a lot of folks out there who don't know that this exists. So that's what we do here on Private Club Radio. We share the good news of what's happening in our industry. And before I bring Adam on the show, I just want to share one of the coolest things that I've come across in a long time. And it's such a simple idea, but it makes a huge impact. At least it made a big impact on me. So Brandon Towns and I, Brandon Towns of Clubmark, went over to the club at Old Cypress. Now, this is Melissa Hansen's club in Naples, Florida, the club at Old Cypress. Gorgeous course, by the way. But this story is not about the golf course. It's about the customer service experience, the guest experience that we had while we were there. We walk into the clubhouse. We have the first tee time, go into the pro shop, and there's a sign right at the front desk, big one, kind of on a pedestal that says, "Welcome to the club at Old Cypress, Gabe Aloisi and Brandon Towns." And so we took the obligatory cheesy selfie with it, which I've posted on social media by now. And you may or may not have seen it, but I just thought that little touch made a huge difference in a guest's experience. And I asked Melissa about it, who is actually going to be on this show for an entire episode here in the next couple weeks. But she said they do that for every guest. It wasn't just me and Brandon. I knew it wasn't. They do that for every guest that comes by the club, because that's just a simple, really inexpensive. It's the cost of a piece of paper and a few minutes of your time. It's a simple way to make a huge impact on a guest's first touch. Just a lovely idea. I've seen that happen in corporate America. Haven't seen that happen at a private club before, and I was really, really impressed at what Melissa did there. But that wasn't all, actually. So we actually go out to the putting green. Again, we're pretty much the only guys out there, about 7:15 now in the morning. And we're greeted by the director of golf, the head greenskeeper, and his right-hand man. They come up to us, they approach us, and they welcome us to the club, tell us their names, and they start chatting about the course and just telling us about the different features of the course and what we could expect out there. Again, such a personal touch that you just don't see. I've been to plenty of courses played as a guest, and while folks are generally very, very nice to me, and my guests and my friends have never had that personal one-on-one experience, and it makes all the difference in the world, let me tell you. If I was a prospective member going to that club, they would have had me at proverbial hello there. It's just so simple and so powerful. So my challenge to you this week, find ways to make the guest experience a more personal experience. If you've read my book or if you heard me speak, you know that it's so important. The personal touch is one of the most important things, especially in our business, but really in any business out there. And what a wonderful job Melissa and the other folks at the Club at Old Cypress did. So steal that idea, run with it, make it your own, unless you're a club in Naples, because we don't want anyone competing with Melissa. All right. Well, it's time to bring on our first guest of the day. Here we go.
And now, it's time for your monthly masterclass presented by Master Club Advisors.
Welcome to another edition of Masterclass presented by Master Club Advisors. Today I'm joined by partner Gary Collins. Gary, how are you doing today, sir?
I am fantastic, Gabe. It's always fun to talk to you.
Yep, it sure is. And you guys have a new newsletter coming out. I mean, you guys have been doing the newsletter for quite some time now, but there's some changes that I think we should talk about. Can you go over some of those with us, Gary?
Absolutely. Listen, our club management perspective has been around for 20 years. As you know, you've written for the magazine before. It was a hard copy. 20 years ago, everything was a hard copy, not electronic, and it was expensive, and it was a paid subscription. And it was a well-received newsletter. Of course, as time marches on and nobody does hard copies, we changed it to an electronic copy a number of years ago. But now, because it is an electronic production, we can put that thing out at no cost. So Club Management Perspective is available for free. And I think this is, one of the things that we talk about on your show often is actionable items that can really improve club operations. And you know me, I can preach about education and reading. Great leaders are great readers. Whatever the question is, the answer is education. That newsletter is chock full of actionable ideas that can, make your club a better operation. We've had Ray Cronin write for it. We've had Jeff Bloom, the president of the American Society of Golf Course Architects, write for it. Greg Patterson writes for it. Kathy O'Neill in marketing. David Myers, the chef. Jan Beljan, Don Vance. You have written for it a number of times. And those articles have really quality, actionable information. We now have about 2,500 subscribers, and it's free. So please email me if you want to get on the subscription list. You won't regret it. You will get valuable, actionable information that can improve your club operation. In addition, we now offer advertising. We have advertisers for the first time, and in the next issue, you will see some of those. So this is an actionable idea for club operators. They can learn and get actionable information from the newsletter. But for club vendors who are trying to reach people in the business, we have 2,500 subscribers who are general managers, assistant general managers, golf pros, superintendents. They run the gamut, mostly general managers, but they run the gamut of folks. And so there's a real target audience for advertisers to reach. So please, gcollins98@att.net, reach out to me and I'll, for a complimentary subscription or for advertising. And thank you in the past for writing for it.
Oh, yeah. I really enjoy reading that publication because there's so many interesting, unique perspectives that you just don't hear in other places. That's why I really like it. Now, along the lines of education, you've also got this HR symposium coming up later in the summer. Can we talk a little about that, Gary?
Again, I'm that broken record on education. And again, talk about actionable ideas. Some of the information put out at these symposiums is, that they really have the ability to, for you to go back to your club and to make concrete improvements. And the HR symposium, I'm really proud of. Listen, in the club business today, it's all about the staff. I mean, you really have got to have a top-notch staff. And our HR functions in clubs have grown so dramatically and are so much more improved today. It's a key to our success is getting the right people. The HR symposium this year is going to be spectacular. It's in Boston. The accommodations are at the Harvard Club. It's going to be at the Country Club, the oldest golf club in America, Brookline, Massachusetts. Francis Ouimet wins the first American to win the U.S. Open there. We have, Ben Crenshaw on the Ryder Cup there. There's an education just in being in those facilities. And we've got dates set for our Gated Club Symposium as well, which is going to be in Gray Oaks, Naples, Florida, August 21 to 22. Watch your email again, contact me about those things. But they're really solid information, and the HR symposium is filling up very quickly.
Fantastic. That's awesome. You guys are doing that with Club Benchmarking, kind of in association with them. And so give us like an overview of how that day goes. Like, how does it start out? Is it a full day, a half day, a couple days? How does it all work, Gary?
Club Benchmarking has been a fantastic partner for us. I love the work those guys do. The work they're doing and trying to get governance focused on facts-based decisions, not on emotional decisions, I think is some of the best stuff being done in the industry. And they've been a great partner to our symposium. They're normally 2 days, and they're full of education. We start out early in the morning, and we have world-class speakers. I mean, we've had some of the best-selling authors, Dr. Roger Landry. I mean, we've had people there that really, and the days are really chock full, and they're good. And they're good because the education goes all day long with quality speakers, but it's the networking and the talking in between. The people that you meet there and that you talk to there, and when you find out what they're doing and you tell them about what you're doing, that exchange of information is absolutely incredible.
Well, the other thing I want to talk to you about today is all clubs out there really want to bolster their dues revenue, and basically you can't have a club if you don't have dues paying members. So I know you've got some tips, Gary, that you've seen coming across your travels around the country, around the world, and I'd love for you to share some of those with us.
Gabe, I love talking about dues. I mean, dues. And I love the way you started that. That's a quote, I think, in your book from Dedman. With members, all things are possible. Without them, nothing's possible. We're in the dues business. But you, of course, are the marketing guru. So I'm going to be interested to hear your reaction to a couple of I'm going to talk about some little things I've seen that I think are, they're very functional, small things, but they're small things that can produce big results. I'd be interested in hearing from you about some of the big things that you're seeing out there, and they may tie into some of the small things that I want to talk about.
Cool.
But listen, we've talked about this endlessly. Dues are the most important thing we do. I think every general manager in the country ought to get up every day thinking about, what am I doing today? What am I doing today to grow this dues line? It's about growing this dues line. Here's something I ran across that I thought was really interesting. I'd be curious to hear your reaction to this. A club GM, when he was having cocktail parties, prospective member cocktail parties and receptions as a group, they were functional and people came and they enjoyed them, but they just had a different feel that wasn't what he didn't always achieve what he wanted to achieve. And he came up with this idea. Whenever there was a club function that didn't sell out, the entertainment was already paid for, adding 8 more people to the food didn't really add a lot of the money. What he would do is he would reach out to members. He would reach out to his club members, and it wasn't presented as a membership program or any kind of a membership retention growth effort. He would just reach out to the members and say, listen, you've been a great club supporter. I appreciate everything you do. I have the authority once in a while to allow members to invite additional guests at no charge. So if you'd like to bring another couple to the, whatever it might be, the 9 and dine, he would take events that did not sell out, and his theory was the event didn't sell out, and adding a few more people to it didn't really, and he would have members bring guests to that event. And it became, he said it produced more leads and more closings for him than the prospective member cocktail parties, because the people came and just enjoyed the club. Right. I thought that was a pretty good little trick.
That's awesome. There was no pressure. They just came and just had some fun. That's perfect. I love that one.
Yeah, I love that one as well. Member referrals are, of course, where it's at for us in the club business. As you talked about in your book, it's a different era. There was a time when like-minded people got together and we started clubs, and it isn't just member referrals today. I mean, there's so much more that has to be done with all the things that we do today. And I think your book was spot on about so many of those things. I'd be kind of interested to hear about some of the things you're seeing out there that are working and not from a consultant. I'd be interested in hearing about some of the things you're seeing out there and then thinking about them from an operation perspective. What are some of the things you're seeing out there, new and different, that are bringing people in?
Well, a lot of our listeners probably heard a week or so ago when we had Ani Mehta on about top tracer technology. And you and I have talked about, how to gamify the range experience. You've talked about having just a pro out there giving lessons for free to people. And I loved that idea. And this is a very similar concept. Let's get the social members involved, the ones who are already a part of the club, but maybe you're feeling a little disenfranchised or not feeling like they're really a part of the homogeny of the club, getting them out there to really experience golf in a what's the word I'm looking for? No pressure situation, right? And just have some fun, like a Top Golf experience right on your driving range. I thought that was a really cool one.
I think that's a fabulous one. And I think there's some ways from an operational standpoint to talk about ways to really make that even stronger. Listen, you've talked about this, and everybody in the industry talks about this. It's a women decision making is affecting club membership more than, they're the decision makers, and children and families are so important. And I think it's easier to do fun things on the range with kids than it is to do on the golf course where it's more serious. Listen, if we can have a Top Golf type experience, it doesn't have to be tracer technologies and balls and, with chips in them, but if we can have fun things occurring, whatever it is, in the practice area, where you invite guests to the practice area for events out there. We could have, you see the long drive competition, you see Top Golf. Let your brain go to work and just brainstorm about fun things you could do. Contest on who's hitting it close to the pin, long drive, but it doesn't have to be serious golf. You can have the kids playing the baseball golf where they're running from place to place. But if you can get the kids and families out there, and if you can have Top Golf type experiences, or just things going on at the driving range that really liven it up, I think that's a really solid membership growth opportunity.
Yeah, I have a client up in Michigan, Spring Meadows Country Club, and they just recently did something we called it Swing into Spring. But up in Michigan, they have something called the Golfzilla. So they set up this big, giant, air animal. It looks like a Godzilla, and people can bang balls into it on the range. And they had a trick shot show, a guy who does trick shots locally, and they had putting contests out on the putting greens, and they threw a whole day kind of around their opening season. Guests were allowed to come and really experience the club, and they've had a number of members that joined from that day. So anytime you can just make that golf a more fun experience, I think you're going to be successful out there.
You're 100% right. And I really believe that often we think about these fun, exciting things, and we're doing them. As club operators, we're often doing them. We're doing some fun things, but we don't think often enough about allowing the members to invite non-member guests to them. If you had a family invite another family that was not the member, and their children were experiencing the things that we've just been talking about, it would be hard for them not to want their children to be there participating in that.
Right.
I think so many times as operators, we're putting a lot of time and energy, and we should, into really high quality events, and we're not thinking about how to tie into those events for growing the membership.
Right.
I love the idea. I love what they're doing. And I love that so many times clubs do this and don't invite guests. I love that they're inviting guests. That's good stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that ties right into your original point there about the unused seats at the themed nights and the cocktail parties and whatnot. It's a great idea just to get people in a low pressure environment.
You and I have discussed this before, and the whole industry, of course, discusses it. Is golf is too time consuming, and I really believe that we can do some membership and dues growth by doing fun events that are shorter events. The Top Golf type experience on the practice area is a perfect example, but also the 9-hole events. Many clubs are already having fun 9-hole events. The couples are there together. You've seen a million of them. Couples 9 and dine, or 9 and wine, whatever name they have for them, and they're really fun, good events.
Yeah.
But if we would take advantage of those events to allow them to invite other couples, and it doesn't even have to be prospective members. We don't present it as just invite another couple. They turn into prospective members.
Right.
I also think we've got to think about doing things shorter and faster. 6 holes, so we don't have to play 9 holes all the time.
Right.
I think there's some really, the night that we're having the event on the range, maybe we have a 3-hole event for those people that really want to play golf. Maybe there's 2 things going on simultaneously. We've got to find ways to get, this is another area when we talk about membership growth, particularly in our gated communities here in South Florida. so many people move into these gated communities because they love the community and they worked hard all their lives and they never really played golf. So we have to find ways to introduce them to the game and help them learn the game. And I think those shorter opportunities, those 3 and 4 holes, those playing from forward sets of markers opportunities, all those things really make a huge difference. And of course, you and I have talked about before scoring tees, which has been trademarked by Jan Beljan, but it's the same concept of having a really forward tee where people can really enjoy themselves. And here in South Florida, I will tell you the 4 or 5 clubs that she's put those in, we have seen membership growth occur. We bring people in the gated community who are not golfers to golf, and we've seen older golfers who were giving up golf go back to golf. The gated communities reminds me of something else I really wanted to talk to you about on this subject, which is mandatory membership. You know, it was a big buzz, and it happened, and there were legal issues surrounding it, and I think it's still possible to do. But a couple things I would say about mandatory membership for your listeners out there. Anybody that's is in the middle of a developer club that's being built, I think you should include mandatory membership. What is your take on when you still have the opportunity, you've got a new club and you could put it in? There are people who think it's not a good idea. I'm curious. Do you like the clubs with mandatory membership?
So you're talking about like a gated community where if you own a home, you're mandated by the association or the HOA to have a membership at the club.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's probably a case-by-case basis thing to me. It depends how big the community is too, because like if it's a community of 30 people, it probably makes a heck of a lot more sense to make them mandated rather than a community of 1,000 homes. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm interested to hear what some of the experts say. I don't know if I even have an opinion on it.
A couple things here. One, if you obviously your golf course is limited in size, and what a problem to have. Your golf course is too crowded is a great problem to have in today's private club world. But some of the biggest clubs in South Florida, Admiral's Cove, Frenchman's Creek, Boca West with 4 courses has mandatory membership, and they have 2,000 members. So there's ways with larger clubs to still have the mandatory membership. Now, in many cases, the mandatory membership is only at the social level. Maybe they're not playing golf. It just has them involved at a lower level. There have been, as you're probably well aware, clubs that have gone backwards and put mandatory membership in when the club was created without mandatory membership, and that led to a lot of legal issues.
Yeah.
But most of them have stood up and still pass. They do things like grandfather it in. If your club did not have mandatory membership and you pass it, the people who are there as non-members there, they don't have to join. They're grandfathered in. But the next buyer of their house does have to take membership in some form. Okay. And it's created the minority. It really turns out to be a minority in these gated communities who oppose it, have brought lawsuits, and most of them have stood up, especially if they do the right things and letting people have outs and taking time. And often with developers even, there's been a resistance to including it because they think it hurts home sales. They say, well, listen, if they don't have to buy a membership, they're more likely to buy a home.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like in a downturn economy, how does that normally play out?
Exactly. There's no question that you have to have an educated sales force, a real estate sales force, to make this work. But if people really understand that your club, listen, let's just say your home in this gated community is worth $1 million, and let's say a 5% change in the value of your home is $50,000.
Yeah.
Having everybody be a member ensures the long range value of your home and your membership. When the sales force is educated and knows how to present it, and says, when they run into the objection of the person that doesn't want a membership, you have to explain to them, this is why you want a membership, because it's going to protect the value of your home. You can tell the story of the XYZ club. We went down the street where membership deteriorated, and 9 holes got plowed under, and the home values dropped from $1 million to $700,000 because the golf course wasn't there.
Right.
I mean, real estate is really the driving engine on this thing, and there's a way to present it to even the people who oppose it that make it work. I've worked in a few of these communities with mandatory membership, and I think it really works. It's like it's in the best interest of everybody, and
nice.
I think it can really be made to work, and it can really go in. Certainly, if you're going forward, you ought to add it. And if you don't have it, it's very hard to go backwards. There's a lot of legal issues. But I
Right.
think in some cases it can be done and help, and it really makes a difference in terms of your dues income.
Wow. Well, this is the type of education that folks get when they go to things like your gated club symposium and clubs of the South and now the HR symposium. So definitely recommend folks head on over to masterclubadvisors.com so they can register for those educations. And of course, sign up for the newsletter. Make sure you send Gary an email. Gary, what's your email one more time?
gcollins98@att.net.
Yep, get signed up and get some of these tidbits and golden nuggets from Gary every single month. Gary, wonderful to have you on once again and hope to get you back here very soon.
Gabe, always a pleasure to talk to you, my friend. Keep doing the good work you do.
To learn more about Master Club Advisors, visit them on the web at masterclubadvisors.com and join us next month for another masterclass.
Well, joining me today from Youth on Course is Executive Director Adam Heieck. Adam joined the NCGA in 2004 and became head of the foundation in 2005. Youth on Course was started in 2006, and he was named Executive Director very soon after. He's often communicating or meeting in person with donors, foundations, corporations, or NCGA member clubs in an effort to show the impact their contributions have on our participants. Sustainability and expansion of Youth on Course is the prime focus of Adam's work. Adam, welcome to Private Club Radio.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, first off, I want you to give me a brief overview of Youth on Course and what you folks are doing out there.
Sure. It's a national organization based here in Pebble Beach and designed to really take cost out of the equation, for young men and women who are interested in playing the game. It was developed by the Northern California Golf Association more than 10 years ago, and since then it's kind of become an independent entity doing just that, subsidizing rounds of golf. Rounds played by our members nationally are always played for $5 or less. We subsidize the golf course back, a large portion of that lost revenue. And then we also provide college scholarships and caddy programs to young men and women looking for employment. Those programs tend to be based on the West Coast, but we've expanded quickly across the country and now operate in 26 states.
Wow. I got to imagine your mission has changed or evolved since you guys first started. Can you walk us through some of the changes that have happened in the last decade or so?
Sure. Really, this was, again, started as subsidizing rounds of golf, and about 3 or 4 years in, felt like we needed to go a little bit deeper and offer those caddy programs, which we subsidize as well. We subsidize the base fees, for the young men and women who are caddies, and then offer, first-time work experience in golf shops, in food and beverage operations, outside services. So, young men and women are learning, what it takes to enter the workforce. They're putting some money in their pocket. And then the ultimate kind of carrot out there is college scholarships. And we award more than $250,000 a year to kids throughout the country looking to further their educational dreams, so to speak. About 3 or 4 years ago, we made the decision to kind of change a little bit and make this a national play. And we've staffed up, and we're continuing to staff up. We've changed our board a little bit, and really trying to partner with state and regional golf associations and PGA sections to implement this program in other states.
Yes, you mentioned that you're right now in 26 states and you're kind of rapidly expanding. So what sort of financial logistical needs does your organization have in order to expand here into some new places?
It's an interesting model. We cover the cost of the subsidies directly, and then the staffing, the administration, the accounting and the tracking of the rounds, basically everything for 18 to 24 months when we go into a new state. That's the offer we put forth to the State and Regional Golf Association. They use that time typically to re-engineer their boards, get a kind of a better handle on really growth of the game opportunities, and meet with golf courses, meet with management companies, like Kemper, American Golf, Troon, and others, and really start getting that program going in that local area. And then after that 18 to 24 month time period, we essentially turn over operations to that local entity. We're still going to provide all the back office and a lot of the marketing and some help with fundraising on a national level, but there's a saying that all fundraising is local, and if you're not fundraising in your local market, it's ultimately not going to be successful. So, our staff here from Pebble, travels a lot, meeting with our partners to try and, give them the tools they need to be successful.
Yeah, you're based right there in Pebble Beach. Is that what I heard?
It is. We reside here at Poppy Hills. It's certainly a great spot to be, and host a conference once a year, so all of our partners can come and enjoy some golf and meetings every spring before we really ramp up the season.
Nice. All right, my next question for you is about the First Tee. So how does your organization either complement or compete with the First Tee and what they're doing?
It's completely complementary. I mean, when we started this, it was essentially born out of the thought that First Tee was doing such a great job getting kids involved in the game and started in golf, right? They're putting a club in kids' hands and actually teaching them the game. But then they couldn't go play because it was so expensive to play. Youth on Course then, essentially was removing that cost barrier. And so, we've got thousands of young men and women who are actively involved in the First Tee or were involved in the First Tee that are Youth on Course members, right? They're perfectly complementary, as we are with the PGA Junior League, Drive Chip Putt, and all the other growth of the game initiatives out there, because it's just providing access, right? It's providing a job, it's providing a scholarship. So there's no real competition, and that's why I think we get so many letters and emails and calls from parents, saying, "Look, this has dramatically altered the way that our son or daughter engages in golf and then engages in sports and changing kind of family dynamics, because it's so much less expensive from a family spending standpoint, that the kids can play so much more frequently."
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's involving mom and dad on a twilight rate, on a Friday or Saturday, which makes the golf courses happy, certainly.
All right.
So we feel like we found a pretty good formula.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I think especially when I was growing up, I think golf was always viewed as kind of the rich kids game, and I love that you're changing that and making it affordable so that we can literally grow the game, because a lot of organizations talk a good game, or they say the right things, but they're not really making it accessible, and that's what I really love about what you guys are doing here with Youth on Course. Any success stories out there or some notable moments that you've had along this last decade journey you've been on?
There's many, and it's hard to put a finger on just one. I mean, we had our first Evans Scholar, recently. There's not a whole lot of caddy programs on the West Coast, so Evans scholarships, which as you know are full rides, to assorted universities. One of the young women who was one of our first caddies became an Evans Scholar, and that was a thrill. But there's so many different success stories of kids going on to truly amazing universities and doing very, very well, and then getting hired by fantastic nonprofits and corporations and really just doing well. And that's the thing we love to hear about. I mean, if they play college golf, great. It's certainly not our ambition for them to do that on a regular basis, but we certainly have a lot of kids who are playing college golf that are tied to Youth on Course and used it growing up as a way to practice, and we get those letters and emails too, so it certainly makes you feel good.
That's awesome. What are your goals for the organization here moving forward into the next decade or however long this happens?
We certainly want to be in all 50 states. I mean, we're trying to enter the bigger markets in the country and have had a lot of success over the last 18 to 24 months doing that, but we need to keep it going and then go a little deeper into those markets. We have had some international conversations as well as Youth on Course grows, and I think the opportunities to promote it and publicize it continue to increase. We have more of those conversations, but really we're looking at impacting by the end of this year maybe 40,000 youth on an annual basis, and I think those numbers can easily go 100,000 plus in the next 4 or 5 years. So the growth potential is amazing, and we're looking forward to it.
That's fantastic. So, as you know, most of our listeners come from private clubs, and private clubs can also help out, just as much as public courses out there. So, how do private clubs get involved in what you guys are doing and help you guys out?
That's a great question, and we've got the most experience doing this in Northern California, where a lot of private clubs support the program financially, through its membership, because these kids can play for $5 or less within the community, and these clubs understand, these general managers, these boards of directors understand that many of these kids are going to go on to be very successful people, and our potential members of theirs later on, they know that it's good to support the local community anyway, and have some, a kind of the feeling that the club is a vital part of that. But the other part is, we run most of these caddy programs at private clubs, and it really doesn't cost the club much of anything to do it, because we're subsidizing the base fee, and the members are charged a nominal rate. We've got a partnership with Caddy Now, which I know you're familiar with, and these members at the private clubs are really enjoying, I think, spending 2 to 4 or 5 hours with many of our members, allowing them the chance to offer some mentoring and guidance, and helping put some money, some spending money, some money for college into these kids' pockets. We've had a tremendous response from private clubs, so certainly there's an audience there.
That's fantastic. Adam, if folks want to reach out to you directly or to someone on your staff, just learn more about the organization, how do they do that?
Visit our website, youthoncourse.org. We're certainly on all social media channels as well. But our staff is eager to help, and we're all wanting to see this through, and certainly appreciate the opportunity to tell the story. We'll be able to help in any way we can.
Awesome, Adam. Thanks so much for joining me on this episode of Private Club Radio.
Thanks, Gabe. I really appreciate it.
That's going to do it for this week on Private Club Radio. Before we go, I just want to remind you that this show has an app, its own app, the Private Club Radio app. You can find it on iTunes and on Android. You'll never be lonely on a car ride again. Just plug in an episode and take a drive. I'll catch you back here on Private Club Radio next week. Until then, here's to your membership success.
Private Club Radio is brought to you by Concert Golf Partners, helping to preserve and enhance private golf and country clubs. Concert Golf has the capital, expertise, and private club hospitality experience to help upscale private clubs achieving long-term success and membership growth. For 25 years, Concert Golf has allowed private club members to focus on simply enjoying their club. Visit concertgolfpartners.com to learn more about the recapitalization process.